The recording is in progress.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and good evening, good morning, depending on whichever part of the world you are from. This is Princess Tepi from the beautiful South Africa. It's pouring here with the rain, but otherwise we do need the rain. It's the right season for us. And also the right season because we are here on our second day on this 16 days of activism for development. We started on the 25th. We are going to be running until the 10th of December. Our focus this 16 days is going to be on the campaign design for creating awareness on innovative agriculture, on food and nutrition, and providing smart solutions for food safety and security, which can save families through women participation. We cannot emphasize that enough. Bring women on board, you know that the whole world will be saved, the whole world will be developed, the whole world will actually move faster on the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all, but to do better in welcoming everybody, we are going to hand over to our chairperson, Dr. Tamara Algolagasi from USA. Are you ready? Thank you so much for being here with us today. And indeed, it's a great day. We thank you that you traveled well yesterday. So we welcome you. The mic is yours, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. And, thank you everyone for being here and for the whole team who's been working on this campaign and on all the strategies to make it happening. So good evening, everyone. Me, Dr. Tamara Algolagasi from USA as a chairperson for Global Women Development Network and as a chairperson for this campaign. I welcome everyone here. And I would say we are now working on the 16 days of this campaigns, which is the Activism for Development. And we aim to achieve the goal of zero hunger through finding sustainable solutions to end world hunger. So in this regard, we want to make the woman being involved in such a important and strategic and a critical timing where the world are really facing. So welcome you today in the second day of this campaign. Yesterday was the first day, and we are here to address today the topic of a model for enhancing nutrition sensitive agriculture, food security, and entrepreneurship. So as everybody knows, Nutrition for Zero Hunger is a global initiative that is aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 2. And you know, the goal number 2, which is zero hunger, seeks to end the hunger in all its forms by 2030, Agenda 2030 of the United Nations, and to achieve food security and improve nutrition and promote and smart agriculture. In this 16 days campaign, we focus on the development of 3 major challenges in smart agriculture, food and nutrition, and also emphasis on food security. A profound change of the global food and agriculture system is needed here. So yesterday was the first day where highlighted the main goals of this campaign as a 16 days of activism development. And today we're gonna talk about a specific topic, and it's gonna be through 16 days. But I wanna talk in general for the goals of the campaign and in particular about the today subject. So the main target here is to end hunger, achieve food security, as I just mentioned, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. It's really important here. Smart agriculture, sustainable agriculture, food security, these are the vocabularies and the goals that the whole world needs to join hands together between the decision makers, civil societies organizations, the world leaders, even corporations, institutions, individuals, to start working on that and to make the woman being involved and has a role, a vital role in achieving these goals. So Extreme hunger and malnutrition remains a barrier to sustainable development and creates a trap from which people cannot easily escape. That's the challenge that we're facing around the globe. Hunger and malnutrition mean less productive individuals. There are nearly 800 million people who suffer from hunger worldwide. This sends a clear warning that more must be done and urgently if the Sustainable Development Goal of Zero Hunger is to be achieved by 2030. We're working to advance the Sustainable Development Goals. Everybody's really working hard to achieve and advance these 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. And we aim to end all forms of hunger through these Sustainable Development Goals and malnutrition by 2030, making sure all people have access to sufficient and nutritious food all year round. This involves promoting sustainable agriculture practices, improving the livelihoods and capacities for small-scale farmers, allowing equal access to land, technology, and markets. It also requires international cooperation to ensure investments in infrastructure and technology to improve agricultural productivity. As the world population continues to grow, much more effort and innovation will be urgently needed in order to sustainably increase agricultural production, improve the global supply chain, decrease food losses and waste, and ensure that all who are suffering from hunger and malnutrition have access to nutritious food. Agriculture system worldwide must become more productive and less wasteful. Sustainable agricultural practices and food systems, including both introduction and production and consumption, must be pursued from a holistic and integrated perspective. There are many elements that, enriched by the latest scientific knowledge, can support productive food systems through sound and sustainable soil, land, water, nutrient, and pest management, and the more extensive use of organic fertilizers. An increase in integrated decision-making processes and in international, national, and regional levels are needed to achieve synergies and adequately address trade-offs among agriculture, water, energy, land, and climate change. The global community is called upon to increase investment in research, development, and demonstration of technologies to improve the sustainability of food systems everywhere. Building resilience of local food systems will be critical to averting large-scale future shortages and to ensuring food security and good nutrition for all. We want to join hands, everybody around the globe, together with decision makers and expertise, academics, to end world hunger and to develop the strategies and finding sustainable solutions, smart solutions, food security, smart agriculture. Together, we can end hunger by 2030. We want the whole world to have enough food to eat that is safe and nutritious. A world with zero hunger can positively impact our economies, health, education, quality, and social development. It's a key piece of building a better future for everyone. Additionally, with hunger limiting human development, we will not be able to achieve the other sustainable development goals such as education, health, and gender equality. So based on that, this is a really, really vital, and it's one of the most challenges that our world facing. We need all to work on that through campaigns, through cooperating between organizations or decision makers, individuals with large-scale organizations like United Nations and even European Union to start, and world leaders to start working and having the strategy, having the to facilitate and to cooperate and improve the elements where we will be able to achieve this goal. So our campaign here aim to starting discussing, having the researches, or at least having the outcomes where we will be able kind of having a solutions to be submitted to the decision makers, where they will be able at one point collaborating with all organization, or like our organization, working on real solutions. So thank you, and I will leave the chance for the rest of the team, and also for our keynote speaker today to talk about our subject for the second day in particular. Thank you.
Thank you ever so much, Dr. Tamara. Thank you so much. As powerful, as in-depth, as very, very explanative as possible, as usual as well. Thank you. You have laid the ground, you have laid the foundation, and we know where we are going. You know, ladies and gentlemen, as we have spoken, we have said so right in March, and we said this is not just a once-off. You can see that we are true to our words, and we know that it is not by our power, but it is because of you that we are all moving forward. We are all really working towards all the goals that we have set for ourselves. So I welcome everybody who has just joined us. We are moving forward with our program. It's not very long. After this one, after the review of yesterday's day or yesterday's session, we are going to have just a round of introductions. So please prepare your killer introduction, each and every one of us who are here, how you're going to introduce yourself and tell us something interesting about yourself, the country where you are, and your involvement within agriculture or just the sustainable goals. So right about now, I'm going to hand over to Prince Andrew to give us just a review of yesterday. Does it so well?
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much.
Well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay, Princess Seppi?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Well, thank you so very much, and welcome everyone here on behalf of Dr. Tamara, Miriam Khan, Princess Seppi, our host, Joan Kerr, and the entire world. So, highlights of day one, session one, the connection of food and nutrition with mind, body, and soul. 16 days of activism for development campaign started yesterday, 25th November 2021 at 10 a.m. Washington, D.C. time via Zoom platform with an excellent audience from Pakistan, the USA, South Africa, Canada, India, Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya of highly professional leaders, policymakers, organizational heads, and moreover, grassroots organizations as learners. More than 2 hours long session covered the following. Number one, campaign president described the aims, goal, objectives, and outcomes of the campaign. Number two, a round of introduction by members. And number three, technical organizers and moderators, myself, Prince Andrew Williams, and Princess Seppi, Future Lift Foundation, deeply elaborated the core relevancy of the campaign with our regular initiatives of CDF, the Community Development Foundation, the International and Indigenous Women's Development Conference, and Global Women's Development Network's agenda, especially after COVID-19. Number four, keynote speaker Sir Kurt Kruger delivered his powerful motivational talk to highlight connections of food and nutrition with mind and soul. Moreover, he covered the role of women in making this possible. Moderators, thanks to all available members and those who are watching via live streaming with the great support of Andrew's networks. Stay tuned with us for more and more details for exploring opportunities, possibilities, and way forward to reach the campaign objective. So with that, Princess Seppi, I have regained control of the live streaming. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, and I'm going to attempt to get this live streaming before Joan Kerr comes on. But now's the time to let our guests introduce themselves. Thank you so much, Princess Seppi. I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you ever so much. And we are so glad that finally it worked. You know, prayer helps sometimes. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we start with the introductions of everyone who is here, because we want to embrace you, we want to thank you, we want to acknowledge you. We want to say here in my country, in isiZulu, when we say greetings, we say sawubona, meaning we see you, we acknowledge you, you matter, you are a person of value. That is why we move with the spirit of Ubuntu. So let me just, while you are still preparing yourselves, to remind you the topic of today is going to be a model of enhancing nutrition-sensitive agriculture, food security, and entrepreneurship. We are going to be hearing from our keynote speakers, and the proceedings of today are going to be around this topic. To move right along, let us start with Asif Farouk to give us your introduction, sir. Just brief who you are, from which country.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opening remarks of Dr. Tamara and Princess Yours and everybody who gave the recap of the yesterday's event. Today's topic surrounds my life, which I have spent in last 35 years as a professional. And I was very excited to see today's topic, and I'm more keen to listen to the speaker too. By profession, I'm an agriculture economist. After a number of jobs, now I'm working in the corporate sector for the last 15 years. We are a research and development organization in the name of Al Muqeet Labs Private Limited in Pakistan. I'm heading its R&D, its policies, its strategies. And we are working directly with the farmers. And we are trying to take out the traditional systems out of it. We want to improve the livelihood of rural families. We are focusing the health and nutrition of the women, especially those who have suffered in the last 100 years of era of synthetics. And the women have a very powerful role in agriculture production system of Pakistan. So we are closely working on it. We are working on natural fertilizers. We are working on biopesticides. We are working on nutritious food. So those are areas on which we are working, and we are working on training the young professionals to become their own bosses and trying to groom them and opening the new areas, especially for the youngsters coming from the farm families and rural communities, because they are still 2/3 of our population.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asif. Thank you. Thank you so much. Powerful profile that you have there. We are going to move to Amjad. Amjad, you have 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes to introduce yourself, sir. Thank you. Amjad Pak.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you listen to me? Oh, my name
Yes,
is
we can
Amjad.
hear you.
My name is Amjad. I'm from Pakistan. Basically I am a social activist and working for the betterment of and empowerment of women and youth. I also work for the children and work for the agriculture based NGO, and we are also empowerment and capacity building of the women for their economic improvement. We also
Asif, will you please mute yourself? Thank you. Amjad, are you still there? Have we
Yes,
lost
I think
Amjad?
so, but I think so he lost his connection.
All right.
Yes.
In the meantime, let us go. Miriam, will you help me to just admit people? Okay, that's fine. Can we now hear, let's come back in Africa. Colonel Dr. Kelvin Morgan.
Thank you, my princess. How are you?
Very well, thank you. You've got 2 minutes. I know you and I, we are gifted in speaking.
Okay, my name is Dr. Kelvin Morgan. I'm the founder of African Festival Foundation. And then we have Wildwind Resort. Currently, as we are talking right now, we are into serious farming over here. We are looking at youth into farming and then youth into production. As I'm talking to you, we are here more than 2 weeks now in the forest. I can show you some of the things that we are doing. So we have about almost 4,000 plantation farms. We have oranges. That's what you can see, some of them.
That is
Some of the
wonderful.
oranges.
But your 2 minutes is about to finish, sir.
Yes, so when you have time, I think I will take you over. You can see, that's the farm at my back. You can see the plantation right up there.
With due respect, Princess Epi, we will, this is part of our agenda that we will give you the whole day to explain your work and your activities related to agriculture, food and nutrition, and food security.
Okay. So can I go on?
You are from
No,
Nigeria.
but thank you so
and
much.
You are Dr.
And
Morgan.
I'm from Ghana.
Ghana.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Ghana.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Dr. Said, the name, the organization, the country, what you're involved with. 2 minutes, sir, please. Dr. Said, Iftika.
Assalamu alaikum. Good night, good evening, everybody here in the conference. And it is a pride for me from Pakistan that I'm joining this session today. Unluckily, I was in the travel last day and I can't join the session. But for some moments in the car during driving, I tried my best to join you, but some clips will be there. My main emphasis is this, that first I congratulate all the administration and management to conduct this harmonized platform to address the things on one platform, and it will help us to make some viable consortiums between the regional countries also, and the ethics of the agriculture, food and safety challenges in the future. We can work out on our verticals separately in our regions, and then we can make the equal consortium power to solve these problems jointly. Because I think in the developing countries, the Pakistan is also a developing country, but we are the, sir.
Dr. Said.
Yeah,
so it was just the introduction of your name, the country, and what you're involved. Furthermore, we will still be getting, we've got 16 days that we are going to be on this platform. Each one of us that are involved in agriculture are going to get a whole 2 hours or the whole hour for your organization to showcase.
Okay, so I am Dr. Syed Iftikhar Hussain. I am Senior Vice President, Agri-Wide Pakistan, and we are working for the food safety and security consultancy in Pakistan to make the small farmers eligible to take the training with the value addition of the products, and that can be sustainable supply and sustainable economic development of the region.
Thank you so much, sir. Please put your information in the chat. Everyone here, please put your information in the chat with your name, your email information, your organization, and your website if possible. Thank you so much. Back to you, Princess Seppi.
Sure.
Right. I would like to emphasize to everybody, we just need your name. It's just introduction. Everybody, you can put your details in the chat. There is a form that those that are connected to me or whichever way, there's a form that we have been distributing so that you get scheduled into being on this program, into being on the one of the days that you can also have a showcasing what you are doing. We are pleading that please complete that form so that then you come here and be able to showcase like we are going to be seeing today. So for now, we're just doing, like I said, acknowledging and saying we are appreciating that you took time to be with us. So give us just your name, your country, and the organization if there's any. Nothing much. Thank you so much. Jemima Kutata, please show us how to do this. I know you're going to get it right. Jemima Kutata. Jemima. Thank you.
Yes. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Jemima Kutata from Kenya. I am the founder of Mona Disabled women community-based organization in Coast Region, and is President Mombasa County. And I am a champion of disability rights and inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. Perfect. You did it so great and so well. Now, the standard has been set. Standard has been set. The standard has been set. Jenny Carrington, let us hear from Crete. I would be saying Canada, but now you're in Crete. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. I have to be pretty brief because I'm in a local cafe, but learning about local food, interestingly enough. My name is Jenny Carrington. I'm the CEO of We Are Mother Earth. We are an organization that's using new media to inform people about regenerative agriculture and other similar initiatives that are related to holistic health and climate change. And I'm super stoked to even be able to get on here to listen to you, Joan. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We are super happy to see you. Professor Dr. Aniela Durrani. 2 minutes, sir. Ma'am. Professor Dr. Aniela Durrani, unmute yourself and give us your introduction.
I'm Professor Dr. Aniela Durrani, and I am working as a professor of clinical medicine in University of Veterinary Animal Sciences, Lahore, Pakistan. And being an academic institution, we have a lot of females working over here and full departments of human nutrition working with us. So we are directly working in the capacity building of a human resource in food security sector. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. The standard has been set. Everybody, you now know within your 2 minutes. I am looking at Jafar Ali, sector specialist. Please give us your 2 minutes introduction.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jafar Ali. I'm sector specialist for food protection, working with Mada Sector Nutrition Center Planning and Government Board, Government of Punjab, Lahore. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well done. Zoto Latola from South Africa. 2 minutes, ma'am. Who you are, the country, the organization.
Hello, everyone. I am Zoto Latola from Breakthrough Center, an organization which is in South Africa. Thank you, Princess Tepi.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. We welcome you all. iPhone, I don't have your name. You've got 2 minutes. Please introduce yourself. It says iPhone. 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 All right. We are going to move further. I don't see anyone else. If there's anybody that I haven't really iPhone, I don't know. I don't see anybody. So we are going to go, and I would like to say you are all welcome. You are all appreciated for making time to be here with us. We also appreciate our online audience for following us. And we are going to be moving on from yesterday, the 25th, until the 10th of December on this wonderful Activism for Development program, and scheduling every organization every day for 2-hour session or even just less than 2 hours. So we would like you to come and join us. As we move further with our program, we are now going to be having our Joan Kerr, Victory Gardens founder, and to let us know we are moving to Canada. I hope you have prepared the room for us, Joan. All of us are there with you now. Please indulge us.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and have an opportunity to talk about the Climate Smart Victory Garden. So my name is Joan Kerr. I am an entrepreneur. I run the Foundation for Building Sustainable Communities. The foundation has a number of programs, food and agriculture, technology, and storytelling. So today I'm going to be only talking about the Climate Smart Victory Garden, which came out of 12 years of operating the Canadian Victory Garden from 2009 to 2019, when we closed it due to health requirements by the Ontario government. that we couldn't fulfill and really didn't want to either. When we ran that garden, it was to demonstrate how you could grow food in an urban center. I live in a city, and we had a 6-acre garden just 10 kilometers from our house, which was given to us by the province of Ontario to use. On that location, there was no water and no electricity. So it was basically, here's a piece of land, you can have it. So we developed it and used some techniques to obviously to have water, and we needed electricity. So we erected a solar panel greenhouse. That was back in 2010 that we started that particular strategy. But over the years, what we found was that a lot of people were asking questions, not just about seeing vegetables, but also how to grow them, and about the technology and all this, these kinds of questions and issues. And we designed many types of garden, from the community garden to allotment gardens to, so we tried them, but the one that the foundation liked the most was a model that was proven years ago by the British War Department, which was addressing food security 100 years ago. And so we adopted that that model and added the issues of climate change, smart technologies, and smart solutions, hence the name Climate Smart Victory Garden. So I just want to start my presentation, and I'm going to see if I could do this, because I always share screen. And can you see my screen? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so I need to make it
Yes, we
bigger,
can.
right? Or can you see all of it?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, I wanted to make it bigger, but oh yeah, here we are.
You're in control, Joan. Handle it.
Okay, there we go. Good. Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you, sir. All right, hopefully we can get this. So today I have 45 minutes. I have so much to share with you, so I'm going to try not to talk as much as I normally do.
Don't rush. Don't rush.
Okay.
Take your
All
time.
right.
If it takes an hour, it's fine. Do
Okay.
what you do.
Well, you know how I talk, so.
That's why I say do what you do.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. So the Climate Smart Victory Garden is a program of the Foundation for Building Sustainable Communities, and it is the social enterprise for the foundation, which means that we charge for our services. This particular slide has 3 logos. One is Rosie the Riveter, who is a symbol of women's involvement in during the war, and she represents women who worked in the factories and actually had to go back home once the men returned, but she became a symbol of, yes, we can do work when required, and showed that that women were capable. I mean, women always knew that, but that they were capable of doing it, which changed a lot of the rules and policies. I think yesterday, Prince Andrew mentioned the world we want, which was a social engagement of the UN that led to the Sustainable Development Goals. And just a point of reference is that the Sustainable Development Goals, food and agriculture, includes all 17 goals. So that's what makes it really good. So that's the aspect that we take. And the next symbol is a symbol of a program by the UN. It's a flagship program, the food program for a number of UN agencies, called the Food Summit Dialogues. I participated in one of those with the Climate Smart model. And I want to let everyone know that the US has just passed policy that to adopt climate smart agriculture. So I thought that was a pretty good, yeah. Hopefully I did a little bit of influencing, but it's timely. So anyway, we are going to be using, we are a food summit, what they call hero or champion. And so we will be actually including that in some of our leadership roles for young people to become food heroes and learning about the food systems and stuff like that. So that's why that's there. Our next one is we had to start talking about climate smart victory gardens. And for this presentation, I'm not going to be talking about the issues. I think we all know what they are. This is introducing how the climate smart victory garden can address those issues only. We all know all of the issues, and we'll build on them and talk a little bit about them in terms of the solutions as we go. So on the first slide, it says, the climate is changing, food and agriculture must as well. We know a lot of issues about decolonialization. We know indigenous knowledge. Oh, didn't do that, sorry. And so in terms of climate change, we have to know how to adapt and mitigate some of those issues. And that's what the Climate Smart Victory Garden does. It looks at, and like I said, we ran a garden for 12 years without electricity and water. And how do you do that? What do you plant? How do you collect water? How do you use electricity for a greenhouse that you have no electricity? So we'll be discussing some of those as well. The Victory Garden was really built on simple terms, which was to plant, can, and eat, which led to the food security issue. Now, just to point out what the food security issue in 100 years ago, what they were trying to address, it was mainly in Britain and obviously Europe because of the war. The food security was insecure because the men went to war, and a lot of the men were farmers. And what do farmers have? They have equipment and they have horses. I don't know if any of you have heard about the war horses. So they took their horses with them. And so what the powers that be thought was that the war was only going to last for six weeks. So there were no infrastructure to feed the population. So they came up with a campaign called the Dig In campaign to get women and children to grow food to solve the food security issue. So food security is about the access to affordable food, quality, the quantity of food. So that was not available. Because it wasn't available, they would give ration tickets that you would stand in line to get your sugar, your flour, your butter, etc. What the growing your own food did was that you could eat as much as you want, and what ended up happening is after you ate what you want, you canned or stored the rest. If you had any surplus, you could also sell it, which gave birth to entrepreneurship. And so that campaign included growing food. Obviously, they had to focus on the nutrient value of the food. So they recommended certain food that gave you the vitamins and proteins that you needed for your daily requirement. And that's how that sort of came about as well. So it's innate in the model. Women, food security, and nutrition sensitive agriculture, because you had to plant the food that you actually needed to nourish your body. So today, this intertwine symbol, this is what the Victory Garden actually satisfies: the SDGs, women, food solutions, and technologies. It's not on purpose that the pink is women, but oh well. But I just want to say that this is all about being smart. I just actually finished being involved in a conference called AHIABGA-TV, which was looking at women in agri-tech industry. And some of the solutions that are coming out in terms of technology is just fantastic, affordable, useful, functional. But the one thing that I want to point out is that the Victory Garden is not only about the technologies, it's actually building the capacity of people to grow food in their backyards, their front yards, and using technology as a tool rather than the tool. So just very quickly, I want to go around what this whole climate smart Victory Garden was built around to address climate change. Because at our garden over the 12 years, we tracked the changes that was happening. And boy, oh boy, from year to year, I can tell you, it was phenomenal, the differences from too much water to too much, meaning rain, to too much heat, to 1 year with so much pests, you know, and so you're always responding to what's happening. And then it occurred to me that that's where we came from as human beings, is observation and response. So we actually practiced it. So in this graphic, you can see some of the things that affects the climate and who it actually impacts on. And it's really interesting to see that this is an FAO graphic, that the places that are really affected are sub-Saharan Africa and South and Southeast Asia, very vulnerable in terms of the climate. So, you know, those countries in particular, this is a really good model for them to look at, not just about growing, but also how to address some of the climate issues that come about. So that's what that's about. So there's also the issues of money and technology, access to connectivity. I mean, it all sort of entwines, and so we'll talk about some of those responses and adaptations. So let's talk about the Climate Smart Victory Garden. It is, like, as I said, a program of the Foundation for Building Sustainable Communities. It was built on, as I mentioned before, the British Dig-In campaign, where it engaged citizens to grow food, and it led to entrepreneurship. We've added innovation, and I think that word is more important than invention, because I'm not quite sure if there's anything we can invent anymore, but innovation is where it's at, being creative. So we added the innovation of the climate smart agriculture techniques, smart technologies, and very important for me is the cultural food traditions. Because then you know, it's not just about eating, it's also celebrating who you are, and that's okay. But it also, because we believe in the local part of it, when a Victory Garden is initiated, you don't have to grow what the original food was dictated. You can grow your own food as long as it satisfies the nutrient value. An example of that is our project in Tanzania. They didn't want to plant potatoes because they didn't eat a lot of it, and potatoes have a lot of vitamin D and vitamin C, for example. So we looked up what did that community ate that could be replaced with potatoes, and they planted cassava and sweet potatoes because it was in lieu of. So that is an example. It's a small example, but we have lots of them. But we also want to, because agriculture is about learning, and it has so many issues, and a lot of it is bioregional, and we want people to learn how to grow food, share what they've learned, and then, of course, celebrating food is very, very important. for 10 years, we hosted something called the Victory Garden Harvest Dinner, where we invited the community to come and share what the garden had grew. And oh, by the way, when we started our garden, we donated 100% of the food to the local food bank that dispersed it across our region. Our region is huge. Over the years, we donated over 66,000 pounds of food to the local food bank. In addition to that, we donated food to the local Legion, Royal Canadian Legion, and they were also our partners in co-hosting our harvest dinner and doing some preserving and canning for the community. We charged for the dinners, so these were corporate clients. They paid for the dinner, and we donated the proceeds to different communities. So the Victory Garden, we want to work with as many people as possible to help define, develop, and facilitate the community strategies. And what that really means is that we are very, very respectful to being local, working with community leaders. They know their community, they know what's needed. A lot of times they already have solutions. They just need someone to help them with it. So we come in and identify what their needs are with them and see how the Victory Garden model can resolve some of those solutions. So for example, I use Tanzania quite a bit because it's was such a successful model. One of the issues that Tanzania had was the government in Tanzania offered funds for groups that were addressing blindness in children, because there was a lot of that for some reason. That's the issue that they took up. So the coordinator said to me, well, you know, I have to address that issue first. How does a Victory Garden model help me do that? And I said, well, in addition to what you are doing, so don't displace what you're doing, what we can do is start to look at the nutrients that causes blindness in young children. So starting to nourish and educate the mothers or mothers-to-be, and plant a lot of food that could help with blindness. And so that's how we got around that. And so that was a really good example of looking at what the problem is and resolving it that way. The Climate Smart Victory Garden is all about collaboration. We collaborate with coordinators. We have a project just north of where I am, an hour's drive, and their focus is on the community and youth. So, you know, we look at what a particular garden wants to focus on, and then we build our program around it. So the coordinator wanted to focus on youth, and so we had youth come and volunteer. And in Ontario anyway, you can, as a not-for-profit organization, you can sign off what they call a placement experience form, where students in high school come and do work for a not-for-profit, and they get, in order to get their diploma, they have to complete a community placement service. So we were happy to have them and do that. So the youth, we would train them on what a Victory Garden is, and so they would also then end up training the youth in that community. In addition to planting, and in their case, they want to sell their produce to the local community. Our goals are we think are very simple. We want to promote healthy lifestyles through nutrition, and promote local economic development and educate people. The biggest thing that people sometimes don't have, what we've identified, is everyone tells them what they have to do, but they don't show them how to do it. And our biggest thing is that we want to have people have a healthy lifestyle. Healthy lifestyle is not just about eating, it's about also having money. We can go into some of these issues, but we really are promoting health and well-being. And if you're hungry or you don't know where your next meal is coming from, you're not going to be motivated to do lots of other things. I mean, it's basic, but also people need hope to know what can they earn, how can they make a living and feel that they're valuable in their community. So the Victory Garden at its very basic level can work with an individual, a family, a household, or it can be as large as a city, which we've done both. When we had our garden, the number one thing that people asked for was the education. They loved what we were doing, and so they kept asking, how can we learn more? Because we actually were very focused on the practical side of gardening. I mean, there are colleges that were teaching how to horticulture, and I mean, I've taken them as well. But we would have those students and they had not ever seen an actual plant, like a good one was someone did recognize what an eggplant was and how it looked. So, and how big they would grow. So these are the things that we demonstrated, but also learning about what the different zones for planting. One of the so they would see that. So one of the things that we like to tell homeowners was that we're not asking you to not in Canada anyway. The front yards are usually flower gardens. So my own garden is what we call an integrated garden, has been for all the years I've lived here, which is over 30 years. And I would plant food in between the flowers and they'd be like, wow, that's so pretty, because they had thought that having vegetables would make it not as pretty. So I said, well, just learning about edible flowers, number one, and number two, put zones of flowers. Like, for example, if I use eggplant because I love them, put your eggplants with other purple flowers. So it just falls into a beauty. So because I'm a woman, I love beauty. I'm a gardener too. So obviously I love a beautiful garden, and my garden is really gorgeous. But the Victory Garden is, it's this whole thing that you can go out and pick something and cook it. You can start with one thing or lots of things. And so we tell people that if you don't want to do a vegetable garden in your front yard, plant some herbs in the front yard and plant the vegetables in the backyard. Start with that and integrate them. But to become a climate smart Victory Garden, we focus a lot on the soil health, because that's where it actually begins. Having good soil equals good, healthy vegetables equals a healthy body. And so that whole ecosystem, the whole climate smart Victory Garden is based on a big part of it is the soil. And obviously the techniques of climate smart agriculture and planting and all of that, but it's really around soil health. And actually after this, I think at 1:30, I'm speaking to a soil expert to start our soil program, because this is where it sort of begins and ends for the Victory Garden. So the power of the Victory Garden is using the climate smart agriculture techniques, homekeeping, and I use the word homekeeping as opposed to housekeeping, because it's men are involved in their homekeeping as well. So, having a Victory Garden pantry, making your own cleaners with your own vegetables, and we do that at my house. So we have a whole course on that. But we recognize that a lot of people already know a lot of these things. So they already know how to make, vinegar with orange peels, for example, which is an easy thing to do. So, how do you make sure that it doesn't, that the water doesn't go bad? Because if you store it, so upskillings, they already do it. How do you ensure that it's well kept? Urban and agriculture, smaller spaces, more contained gardens. Rural agriculture has its own issues around connectivity and larger spaces. So we adapt those as well. And if someone is going to have a victory garden, they must adopt at least 3 or more of the Sustainable Development Goals, and on an yearly basis have to have a soil test and enhancement, because that's what their certification will entail them to do. So this is some of the things that are involved in responding to climate change. All of these we incorporate in with a victory garden, because this is what it will take to respond to the climate side of it. This is the climate side of it. I remember one year at our garden, we could not believe how many, what do you call them, crickets was on the garden. And so then we had chickens and, responding to, and anyway, that was a lot of fun. But always, I tell people the #1 lost art, I think, is for agriculture is a lost art of observation and adaptation. So tracking what is in front of you and what needs to happen. A lot of people think, oh, I have a plot, I'm just going to plant, but it's always changing. It's an ecosystem. Lots of things imposes what happens to your plants. And so, your compost, our soil, what you plant together, or the water that's needed, how much sun, all of these things, including some of these strategies. So these are some of the strategies that are, I think Dr. Tamara talked about the adaptation that we also teach about. I hope I'm on time. I don't have a clock, so. So I want to say that food is a driving force of bringing us together. When I was young and I was growing up in Jamaica, East Indian, we used to have what we call get-togethers every Saturday at somebody's house. And we would go and, people grew their own food and things like that. And we would cook and dance and, it was all around the food, the types of food. Obviously it was Indian food, but, and we did that at the Victory Garden too, because I really missed it. And it's not just about eating, it's about this connection with your community, with other people, with intergenerational learning, talking, even exchanging ideas about jobs, building your networks. It actually is a mechanism for that. And so if anyone thinks that you're better than everyone else, always think about that. You have to eat just like everyone else. So it is makes it equal that we all have to eat. So if we use that as a metaphor for life, wouldn't it be wonderful? So the Victory Garden is a model that is saying, it's not just about growing food and agricultural techniques, and it's about mindsets and entrepreneurship, and how do you take that food and make it into something. Food is food, but then when you start to add other things to it, it makes it much, much better. I remember a Chinese person telling me one time that when you add all the vegetables in Chinese food, if it's 7 or 11, the multiple effect is 22 because of all the nutrient value that goes into them and connects. And I was always think, oh, that's fantastic. Putting things together impacts positively on everything. And like I said, anyway, this is what we've created for the Victory Garden because we're doing certification. We are creating a knowledge hub, and this is where people can come and on their level participate. We have 4 Victory Gardens that are starting in various degrees of developing. It's going to be a sharing platform. I've spent the last year and a half getting organizations to fund and contribute to our scholarship and grants program. Because I spent many years looking at funding programs and assessing them, I mean, for various organizations. So I have an insight on expectations and how monies should be run and all these kinds of things. But we want to develop, we want to have a center where people can, it's a go-to center for Victory Gardens, where you can develop your skills. You can be an entrepreneur in terms of a market garden. It's all things Victory Garden. I'm obsessed with Victory Gardens, as anybody that knows me knows. Everything that we have includes not just the sustainable development goals, because those are goals to 2020, 2030, but sustainable development principles, the environmental, the economic, and the social. And so I just want to say we are check marks for the Climate Smart Victory Garden. There's a check mark for nutrition sensitive agriculture, food and security, and entrepreneurship. One of the things that we're doing right now, one of the projects is a project called Smart Foods. It is starting in January, and it's a collaboration between our organization and Kindred Kitchens with a fantastic young lady called Angela. I don't know if anyone of you know her, but she is absolutely fabulous to work with. And so we have our program starting. We have tickets. It is for a charge for it. And if I can get when I finish this, before any questions, if I can show the video, that would be fantastic. And so I just very much want to say that we believe that this is a absolute model for enhancing nutrition sensitive agriculture, food security, and entrepreneurship. And before we go to the discussion, I'm going to try to show you that video, and then I can answer any questions. And let me see here. Can you see that? No. I have to do share screen again, right? Share screen. This one. Share. Can you see that? Play.
Yes. Is it purposely done that there's no sound?
There is sound. Did I, no, there is sound. You can't hear it? I probably didn't put it on. Sorry.
Yeah. So now we're seeing. You may have to stop share and start again, and then share your sound.
Okay. And how do I do that? I know you told me once.
At the bottom left-hand side, after you press share screen, you should see an option.
Okay, hold on. Yes, you did tell me that once. Share sound, right? Okay. Now it's gone. Where did it go? I knew that was going to happen. Okay. There. Oh. See, when I click on it, it doesn't show it. Okay. So I'm on this site now. So I click on it.
Well, at the bottom left, when you click share screen, at the bottom left, you should have the option, 2 boxes to check.
Yes, I see that. Now, share. Okay, let's see if that works. You hear it?
Yes, we hear it.
Perfect. So that's an example of us doing a project that encapsulates what the Victory Garden is. We're visiting virtually, we're not going to countries, virtually visiting 8 countries, and it's all plant-based cooking. And in addition to having the demonstration of the cooking, we're going to be giving tips on how to grow, about the Climate Smart Victory Garden, things like that. So that's an example of how we are outreaching to our community to build on the knowledge. So that's my presentation. I hope I went into the 45-minute thing, and happy to answer any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Joan. Mrs. Seppi, I'll turn it back over to you. Or if anyone would like to raise their hand to ask a question, now's that time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joan. This was great. This is so great, so great. Can we have questions? What I would like you to do, Joan, is that we're going to take questions so that when you answer them. It's your question number 1, question number 2. So can we please hear, I had already prepared all our participants to say, please prepare your questions. We are going to have a Q&A session. Okay. So you raise the hand, which is found on your screen. There is where it says reactions. That's how you raise the hand so that at least we can speak one person at a time. So let us see hands, and we will be able to take questions from Joan based on the fantastic presentation that she's given. She's speaking from experience, which is what touches my heart. And I love that. Any questions? When am I coming to Canada, Joan?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow. I like how you're full. So, and I see that on your video, you didn't have food from Africa, did you?
Yes, we have, we're doing Senegal.
And what about Tanzania?
We will. This is our first session. We will have it every year. So the next one will start in September 22. So we'll choose different countries each time.
Great. We are going to be hearing from Jemima Kutata.
Hi there.
Your question, please, Jemima. Joan will jot it down, and then we go to the next one.
Thank you. Good evening once again. My name is Jemima Kutata from Kenya. And my question is I wanted to ask, how are women with disability and girls included in that, in your organizations? Because most of the time in Africa, they are left out. They are not included when it comes to issues to do with agriculture. And thank you for that great presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so
thank you.
Sorry, yes.
So
yes.
let's take the second one, and then you are going to be answering them according to their number, so that it becomes Jafar Ali. Please, your question, sir.
Thank you very much. That was a nice presentation. Please share with us that how the Victory Gardens are contributing to address malnutrition.
Did you hear that, John?
No.
I also battled to hear. Can you please say it?
Can you please share with us that how the Victory Gardens can contribute to address malnutrition, stunting, wasting.
Ma'am, Jafar Ali is asking that how can you like your program and your presentation can relevant, or how can they address the malnutrition, the Victory Garden programs? How do you contribute to removing malnutrition from community or from youth and from all these people which are using your products?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. Asif? Asif Farouk.
Yeah, thank you. John, it was wonderful presentation. In how many rural communities you are focused on the urban areas? How many communities you have, number of communities you have been able to replicate this program over the span of its life?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't see any other hands. So Joan, it's your turn. You can now answer the questions.
Great. So great. Thank you all for your questions. That's really great. So I'll go to Jamina's question first. What we did with the Victory Garden, because it's an intergenerational garden as well, we built what we call, what do they call it? It just escapes me, the picture in my head, gardens so that people could use wheelchairs to, we built containers so that they were high, 5 feet high, so that if someone, not just a disability, but also older, didn't have to stand or bend, that they could actually use a wheelchair or a chair to actually garden. So that was one way that we addressed that. But what we would say is that if in your community we were going to have a Victory Garden, that would be an issue that you would want to address, so that we would then have a plan around it and do and address that. That's what we do, is that the community itself will say we need this or this or this, you know. So for example, we're doing a it's not about disability, but Zambia wanted to do a Victory Garden, but around aquaculture, but they didn't have any water. So the issue that we had to solve was the water for them with technology. So which is what we're working on. So that's how we would address that. And we have done that in 2 gardens, actually, the one in Newmarket and the one in Tanzania. Malnutrition. So malnutrition, the Victory Garden is about the growing food for nutrient value. So, but it's a lack of food, right? So one of the things that we would do is arrange for or help with getting seeds or plants, or utilize any of the service clubs to help with that. If to get the food to I mean, we would have to sit down and talk with you about what you're doing already, so that we're not inventing something, but and then how we can capacity build on it. That's, you know, we are saying we're not here with the answers. We want to work with what you've already done, what you've identified that is missing, and how can we help with that. So I don't know if that addresses your question or not, but one of the things that the original Victory Garden addressed was the lack of food and the lack of nutritious food. So that's what the Victory Garden is innate in, is to do that. So the next question is the number of programs, rural and urban. We haven't done a full-fledged rural garden. We would love to do that, other than our own. Ours was actually a rural garden. That's why we actually think that we're so experienced in setting one up, because we had to set up the solar greenhouse, we had to set up the water system, we had to set up all of those connectivity as well, but we used ham radio for that. But we actually ran a rural garden, in quotation, for 12 years. So I think I haven't mentioned before, but I'm actually the humanitarian advisor for the Institute for Engineers. So we can access engineers all over the world to help with any technology that's needed as well.
Great. Thank you so much. I think to me, they're very clear, the questions and even your answers. But here is another question here. Is from, we have an ambassador among us. I think she doesn't want to come on the video. Just wondering how they organize people around the Victory Garden. Is it structured? Do people volunteer? Do you have volunteers or do you have employees? How, around that?
Yeah, so that's a choice of the community. Usually what we've done so far, a businessman wanted to invest in the Victory Garden because it thought it would make money. And it said, oh, you have to franchise it. And I said, no, we don't want to go in and dictate a structure. What we want to do is offer the program and let the community decide the structure. So some have are just a group of volunteers that are doing the work and they want to do good work. In the case of the Newmarket one, that's what they do. We have a woman that is from Africa, that she lives in Montreal, Quebec, which is another province in Canada. And she has a community of women that wanted to grow food from their own country. And so what we did was to help them learn the climate that they're growing in and how to market to the Canadian population. So it was highly based on growing techniques and entrepreneurship, for example, so that they're able to not just grow their food and sell it to their community, but expand and actually get to know the growing techniques that's different from where they were coming from. So that's a really nice project. So did I answer her question? So each person, each community will decide on the structure that they want. One may want a social enterprise, another may want a cooperative, another may just want a group of volunteers that want to work together. But we go through it with them and see what's the best way to go forward.
Great. I think you have answered it. And here is the fun. I don't see any other hand. And I think our Jenny, let's get the youth involved as much as possible. That's amazing, she says. These are comments. And I think she said something earlier on I saw where she was saying something is where she's seeing the collaboration or some organization coming in. WAMI, okay, this is where I see WAMI coming in directly with the Knowledge Hub through edutainment. Great presentation, by the way, Joan. That's from Jenny Carrington, our Jenny. So from myself, I don't see any other hand. Is you spoke about the...
There's another hand, but...
we have...
Zodwa, your hand is up, yes. Zodwa?
Yes, can you hear me, Princess?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks. Yes, a powerful presentation, Joan. So what I wanted to know is that do you have maybe a specific objective that you're following in terms of collaborating with people in different countries, or you go according to when maybe you have a proposal? Say, for example, like myself in South Africa, we have a proposal as to how you can collaborate with us, then you respond to that, or are you following a certain objective maybe of your organization?
Yeah, it's both. We have a framework, and so it starts with the community, what the community has identified. So we want to see that they're actually addressing a problem. And what we're offering is if they want, if it includes agriculture and they want to use the Victory Garden, we ask them to be planting food to nourish for the nutrient value. And what is the focus of the Victory Garden? Is it to donate food? Is it to sell? So we identify what it is that they want to do. The other thing is that the Victory, we also ask people to have at least 3 or more sustainable development goals that they follow. So it's very loose in terms of you really building your own community. So, you know, we all obviously have to have some framework. The biggest framework that you have to follow that is non-negotiable would be the soil health and annual certification. That's the only one we will not change, like absolutely not, because that's what the Climate Smart Victory Garden is about, and planting vegetables that have the nutrient value. But your processes, your structure, addressing your needs, it's all from your own community.
All right, thanks.
That is good. That is good. Okay, here's one final one from me now that I don't see again any other hand. Is you spoke about the soil health. Do you have a technique? Do you have universities that you are working with? How do you assess that? How do you make that assessment?
Yeah. So first of all, we teach about how to have good soil, but there are many ways to test your soil, from costing nothing to costing a lot, and we show people all of them, so that you can start with a very simple way of, you know, putting water in a bottle and taking the soil and see what happens, how it drains, right? Like, I mean, we're not promoting that you do that, but it's a way to start that doesn't cost money, because we're very sensitive that this is a cost thing. So we try to do it from the range, right? So if you do have a few dollars, I don't know how it works in Africa. I can tell you how it works in Ontario or Canada. You take a soil sample and you send it to a lab, and the lab tells you what are the components of the soil and identify what needs to happen in order to, and it will even recommend the vegetables that are planted if you do certain things. So that's the sort of thing that the model that it would be worked on. So if somebody in Africa could not, doesn't have a lab or it's costly, we would work with them on enhancing their soil, and then the next year maybe doing it so that there is, you know, some starting, because we like people to start. So, you know, we would have to find out what's in that community, and how they can test their soil.
That is beautiful. That is excellent. I think that has been my gripe as well, to say, yes, we are working, yes, we are passionate, but now you find that some of the plants are struggling, and sometimes we are just putting whatever that is available instead of, as you were saying, as per the recommendation. So thank you so much, Joan. This was fantastic. Fantastic. As you can see the response, and we hope to hear more from you. We hope that you will bring those other women that you have worked with as testimonial as well. We know the great work that you have been doing. So I think we have come to the end of Joan's session. We agree. Thank you so much, Joan. If you were here,
thank you for the opportunity. And anytime you want anything about Victory Garden, I'm happy to speak.
Yes, the magazine as well. I thought you were going to,
yes,
because I'm still waiting for the photo shoot.
Yeah, I want to talk about that at another time. So yes.
Indeed. All right. Before we move any further, our president of the campaign, Miriam, wants to say something. In fact, we would give to her so that she can do the announcements and she can tell us what to expect tomorrow. And then thereafter, if Asif Farouk can please prepare himself for the closing remarks. For now, I'll hand over to our president, Madam Miriam Khan in Pakistan. My goodness, I am globe-trotting while sitting in my chair.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Joan. Thank you so much for this powerful presentation. And you describe, you know, very keenly every, you know, 3 components, which, you know, this campaign is based on these 3 components. Not now, but this question is for the further discussion. Maybe during this campaign, you can join us any day. So how this campaign can connect later on for the longer connections to build this this document, to put this front of you know, relevant policymakers and authorities to give a shape of the proper project proposal to submit for all these countries which are coming to participate in this campaign. So it's a huge work, which we have started, and we will put all this with each other's support. So we need your support in terms of that, how Victory Gardens can later on support in these three components regarding food and nutrition, regarding food securities, or regarding smart agriculture, especially with the presence of women. Your presentation itself is a business presentation also, but we want this presentation specifically in terms to convert as a project proposal, which we can present collectively in front of the relevant authorities. So thank you so much for joining us today. So now we have two major announcements. Number one, that we are going to fix one day for the young kids. They are coming as a speaker, they are coming as a panelist, they are coming as an audience. So these young kids are coming and speaking on the importance of nutrition for their age. And they are also participating to support this campaign, because we all are ultimate working for this age group starting from 0 to 15. So we are going to fix, might be in the coming week or in this week, because all of they are preparing their slots, and then they are coming to present on this platform. So this is one of a very, very powerful things, because the campaign itself speaks for the young kids, and young kids are coming to sit with us as a speakers. So I think so this is one of a very important element of this campaign. And number two, for tomorrow we are having I think so even definitely we will talk with Jafar Ali from Punjab government. He's representing his multi-nutritional department. And also we are having, and we are putting request to Dr. Anila Durrani also, if she wants to come and speak about the food securities. So both of they are most welcome to join tomorrow's session. So we have one more new member with us today. This is M. Haider Awan. He's representing Savior Organization. Sir, most welcome, because you have joined us late and you skipped the introduction session. So we have 2 minutes for you if you want to introduce yourself, your organization, so you can speak, because I think so you have yesterday also joined, but you joined late, and we don't like the platform don't know about your organization, that you have also your logo and you joined us as a partner of this campaign. So Haider Awan sir, you have 2 minutes for your introduction. Kindly unmute yourself. So I think so he's not with us. So thank you so much from my side for these two announcements, and the same structure which we have shared today. We will share the highlights of today's session with you, and we will share the rest of the new agenda tomorrow with you as well. So now we are moving towards Sir Asif Farooq for today's closing remarks.
Before we go to the closing remarks, would you like to announce, like yesterday, as to the organization for tomorrow?
Ma'am, there's no specific organizations, but we have 2 speakers with us.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No, that's fine. Perfect. From my side,
sorry, and we can do the one thing. Let me talk with the available persons. Might be we can take saviors with us tomorrow, but I'm not sure. But we have 2 speakers, and rest of the things we will, having our own different things to share on the platform regarding this campaign. And I will share the agenda in the first half.
Wonderful. Great then. Great, great, great. Thank you so much. That is our president of the campaign, and also our very key member in leadership is when this network is concerned. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the final item of the day. It has been wonderful. It has been, we are well within our time. We've been doing so very well. And we would like you to join us tomorrow again. Even if you are not going to be the speaker, Joan, please do come. Your questions, your insightfulness is always of great value. On any platform, you always come up with perhaps with a question or a comment that always brings value, that always opens up our eyes, and we learn so much from you and everybody else. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to hand over for the closing remarks to Asif Mahmoud Farouk.
Thank you very much, Princess, the speaker, and everybody who provided me this opportunity to comment on what excellent presentation of Joan relayed to us. And it really touched to my heart. And also to the heart of, I am 100% sure of Mariam, the president of this event, and my other colleague, Dr. Iftikhar. We exactly launched a similar kind of module, but not very well defined that my module in the rural areas. But this presentation provided an avenue to add value into our urban gardening initiatives and how we can strengthen our rural gardening or rural vegetable growing initiatives in Pakistan. I tell you one thing, in Pakistan, the unique thing is the malnutrition and not balanced food availability or vegetables availability is a serious issue in the rural farm families. Despite the fact that these families are in agriculture farming, they have opted the same system of buying the veggies and other foods from the points which are known basically for the urbanites to buy. So these kind of wisdom and the knowledge generated by the gardening module of Joan and her group can help us to redefine our mission, our initiatives, especially in the rural communities. We have already added a value in this thing, keeping in mind our system, because in Pakistan, if there is a widow or the orphans, they are considered the less privileges. But our organization, Joan, has focused in a way that we are going to provide them free fertilizers, which we have for their kitchen garden at their home, whether it's the rural home or the urban home. If the women are suffering for the domestic requirements. So these kind of modules, if anybody who is on this forum can share with the group, it can really help in redefining or revisiting the current strategies in place, either in Africa, Asia, or wherever we are working. So in my presentation, which I am going to make a day after tomorrow, I am going to further complement and will try to strengthen how we are operating in our organization to build malnutrition and balanced food. So I was really happy and excited to see that even in those communities, whether these are urban gardens and rural gardens, there are lack of ideas, lack of innovations, lack of options. So these kind of multi-dimensional, multi-horizon experiences sharing will really help to take the message in a better way, to better serve the humanity, to better serve the health and nutrition of the people working in or living in urban or rural areas. Once again, I really appreciate the forum to bring in those kind of practical speakers who have really poked in their hands in the soil to find the solutions in the best possible way. Once again, thank you very much to everybody.
for joining today's session. Thank you.
That is great stuff. Thank you so much, Asif. Thank you for such great words to better serve the community, to better serve our world, to make sure that we leave this generation in a better state, to make sure that we leave the legacy. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are working towards the Agenda 2030. We have only nine years to make sure that on these sustainable goals, we make right, we make good, and on these goals that we are achieving, that we are making our mark in whichever way that we can. It always will add value, because if it is one from another corner of the world and the other, we know that all of those, they are going to take us a step further. I think from my side, Miriam, do you want to say something?
Thank you so much. I think
no,
so.
Before I want to say goodbye, or do you want? Did you want to say something?
No, ma'am. You can continue.
Right. I'm very excited about the session for children. You know, those are my favorites. I'm very, very excited. And we are going to work on that one. I want my children from Africa, my children from South Africa, not to miss that point. And of course, my children from Pakistan. I have children from Pakistan. So, and thank you so much. From my side, let us always make use. There are so many benefits of working on agriculture, on working with the soil. Yes, Dati.
Just a request that if you choose to, please save the chat before you leave. You can click on the three little buttons at the bottom of chat. You can save the chat. If we have your email address, we'll make sure that we get out to you a recording of this or a link to it. So thank everyone for being here. We really do appreciate it, love you, and hope you'll invite others to come to our events for the rest of these sessions. Thank you.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Great, thank you so much. So there are many benefits of working on agriculture, on work with that. There are healing elements in the soil. There is not just what we are eating, but even as we are working on it. So let us encourage everybody, even ourselves, to just take a moment and work with the soil and go and help where they are working. It's got some healing effects. You are connecting to Mother Earth. Jenny is here. So you are connecting to what we have been built with. So that also makes us to be realigned, brings restoration as well. From my side, and on behalf of the chairperson, the president, the whole team, the organizing team, all the organizers, I say adios. Let us see you once again tomorrow, 10 a.m. Washington, D.C. time. From myself, Princess Tepi, the Royal Princess of the Batokwa in South Africa, the beautiful Africa, I would like to say adios.
Thank you guys for putting on another wonderful session.
Thank you so much.
Man. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want you guys to know,
we need a song. We need a song. Where is our anthem?
Last thought, Joan, before we close, you're about to say?
I just want to say, I like that Joan Kerr myself.
Bye-bye. Love you all.
Bye.